holster. Firing line under our instruction, and right there at that fiddle table, pointed toward that berm. You can go to that fiddle table and do anything you want with your gun. You can take the thing apart if you want. That's totally up to you as long as you're standing on this side of the fiddle table, pointing in that direction. That's the only two places. I spoke to a fella yesterday and he said, well, how do I load my gun? He had never been shown this. Take it out, load the magazine, put it back in. You see, I've been doing this for so long. It's really easy to make assumptions that everybody has a certain knowledge level, and that's not always the case. Sometimes people are in their first class and they've never been shown something that simple, but that's okay, no problem. Nobody got hurt. I was really proud of the class because I didn't have any safety Nazis. Because if something's going to get you thrown out of one of my classes, that's it. You've all suffered him, right? You stupid motherfucker, what do you got that gun out for? That'll piss me off more than the guy with the brain fart. That kind of asshole right there, he's gone.
Yeah.
Because what's he doing? Is he really concerned about the safety violation? No, he's raising his profile, trying to be a big fucking deal. And if you want to get yourself thrown out of my class, be that guy. Because it's unacceptable. You would treat him the same way you would want to be treated if you had the brain fart. Because if you think you're above it, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that's right.
It can happen to everyone here, me included. So let's be super safe with these things, okay? Would you put your hand underneath a lawnmower that's running?
Not more than once.
But you know what? How many people have been fooling around and something gets stuck and they reach down there to pull it out and they lose a finger because you had a brain fart? It happens, okay? So, and you know what's really cool is the guy, the safety Nazi, when he has his brain fart and everybody sees it. Yeah. Was there anything, once you got back to your hotel or your home last night, you got the opportunity to sit down, maybe have an adult beverage, get something to eat, cool off, did something jump in your head? Why'd we do that? That didn't make sense to me. What was the purpose behind it? Anybody? Jeff, did anything jump into your mind? Oh, that's right, you weren't here, never mind.
You explained everything before you did it.
Well, that's the purpose.
Yeah.
That's the purpose. Remember the first slide yesterday? Why? For cause or reason, for purpose. That's important to know. It's important to know. Okay?
Question. Go ahead.
For God's sake, student hopper.
Okay, so I'm not arguing at all with what you're saying. Just want to understand.
You're arguing with me.
So why do so?
She got to be on some famous instructor's podcast. This is what happens.
You have a podcast?
So you know, a lot of people. Well, not a lot of people. Some instructors say that if you have a good, strong grip, that trigger control doesn't matter at all. But that.
Hey, hang on, let me move.
Do you remember when I made the comment yesterday that I could put your gun in a vise?
Yes.
You could stand there and just slap it and it would work?
Nobody has vice hands.
That's true. But I'm willing to bet you don't have that strong a grip.
Right.
So trigger does matter. The problem we have, Carrie, is not the strength of the grip, though. The stronger hands you have, the easier this is to do. It's not necessarily the strength, it's the consistent pressure right here. So that when you're pressing the trigger back, you're not doing this.
Okay.
And that's what people do. As they build in pressure, these fingers want to help.
Okay.
So here it goes, we're starting to stack. I'm going to help that finger. Boom.
Okay.
What do you want, Abner?
In your previous lectures, you've covered how from a medical standpoint, these two are considered the same finger because they're connected here. Could you cover that?
Would you let me finish?
No, because you didn't cover yesterday, so I was hoping you would, because it matters.
Rusty.
Holy crap! Get off my lawn.
When I was being rebuilt, elbows and
No, 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 no,
both
no,
my
no, no.
shoulders, both my elbows, and this wrist done from the stupidity of my youth. And I asked my hand surgeon about index finger independence. Whenever you're going to ask a medical professional about this stuff, get somebody that's not a shooter. Because if they're a shooter, you'll get shooter's bias. Everybody has it. So get the guy that knows nothing about shooting. He's just going to tell you what, medically it is, or physiologically. He said that there are two fingers that are capable of independent action. Your index finger, your pinky finger. The two fingers in the middle will slave to those two fingers.
Correct.
That's the way it's designed. Yep. But the closer the finger is to the thumb, the greater strength and coordination you will have. So that's why we depress the trigger with this one instead of this one. Unless you're seeing them guys on TV that are doing this, and those are just wankers. Oh, did I say that out loud? I apologize. What's that got to do with anything? Hey, it's something to do on television. I get it. So anyway, this finger right here will be your primary finger. It's got the greatest amount of coordination because it is slave to the thumb. However, these four fingers are designed to oppose that thumb. It creates the grip, which is something we are unique in the animal kingdom. Some people will say, well, chimpanzees and monkeys and stuff like that, they can not really, not the way we can, not with that level of coordination. Yeah, they can grab a hold of stuff, but they don't have these smart fingers right here. Okay? But what happens, let me ask you this. Since you got up this morning and got here in some form or fashion, how many times have you done this?
Hundreds.
Grabbing the drink glass this morning to take a pill, the steering wheel, shaking somebody's hand, opening a doorknob, in, out, all day long. What do you think? Thousands of times a day? And how many times do you guys do this? Don't say scratching your nose, because you don't do that. You scratch your nose like this, right? That's very rare. That is a very rare thing. So why do you think when, by your own admission, you get to the range once a month, you go up there and you start to depress that trigger, and when you meet resistance, you go? Because you're doing what your hand literally does tens of thousands of times a week.
Okay.
It's tough. It is really, really tough to overcome. That's why your high-end shooters shoot every day. Dry fire every day. The best way to get good at this is dry fire. What's the problem with dry fire? It sucks.
Yeah.
It's boring.
It's boring.
Right? It really is. It's boring. That's why you do it in small doses. That your really high-end disciplined shooters, they'll dry fire hours a day. But they have that level of discipline. I don't have that level of discipline. But anyway, did I answer your question and what's going on?
Yes.
That is the single biggest hurdle that most people will have shooting handguns. Keep in mind, it's not near that big a problem with a rifle. Why?
Well, why the trigger doesn't have to move?
You got a hand out here.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's pulled into your shoulder. You've got a cheek down on it. You've got a hand out here to stabilize all the weird shit you're doing back here. You don't have that.
Yeah.
With a pistol, you have maybe 1.5 points of contact.
With a rifle, you've got like 7.
Excuse me?
With a rifle, you have like 7 contacts, 7 contact
Why don't
points.
you shut the fuck up?
Okay.
It's on video.
You poor thing. No, that was good.
I've heard that said.
Oh, he
7
always gives me
points of
grief.
Contact. Most people will say, shoulder, grip, cheek, 4, but I know what you're saying now.
And then elbow.
But you have more than 1 and kind of a half. Because when you really think about it, only part of this hand actually, it makes contact with the grip. This does help stabilize the gun. We all realize it, but nothing like what this does out here. That's why the AR-15 is a hell of a lot more fun to shoot. You get good at it a lot faster. I'll tell you guys this, and I'll throw this out here. You can agree or disagree with me. I don't shoot my AR a ton. I shoot it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. But I find I can come out here in about 200 rounds. I can get really good at it after not shooting it 4 to 6 months. If I didn't shoot my handgun 4 to 6 months, 200 rounds wouldn't even put a dent in it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys kind of sort of agree with that?
Absolutely.
Kelly McCann, have you heard of Kelly McCann? He used to run into Jim Grover. He told me, he said, I don't teach that fucking AR classes. That gun's easy to shoot. It is.
It is.
Gun's easy to shoot, and Mike and I were talking about it. It's fun to shoot. That's why you don't have cops and stuff like that have trouble training with. They want to train with it. Not so with that shotgun, right? Even though we all know that shotgun's an effective flipping weapon close up that just people don't want to shoot with. Bucky does. Bucky likes to put it right on his groin and shoot. That's the kind of man he is.
All before 9:30 a.m.
That's the kind of man he is.
I'm missing it today. I'm missing today.
Yeah. Finale. Anyway.
It's like a spin cycle, baby. Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to be progressing on. We're going to finish the essentials today, because after we do the concealed draw strokes and stuff like that, we'll be moving on to manipulations, reload, stoppage clearance, and stuff like that. I believe, as talented as this class is, we are going to be starting into movement, which is the next progression in this, the way I think. Some of you are not shooting as well as others. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. You need to be looking at your target and seeing if you're getting better, because that's all that matters. Don't look down there and say, well, he's doing better than me. He's not you. You look right here, and if your hits are starting to go where you want them to go, you're getting better. That's why you're here.
Amen.
When Bucky, Darren, or I come up next to you and we're watching you, don't get nervous. That's the time to make the mistake. We can fix it. That's when you're getting your money's worth. You paid a lot of money to be here for me to watch you. Why would you get nervous when I'm doing it? That's when you're getting your best value. If you're going to fuck up, that's the time. Because I can, hey, don't do that. You know, we can fix it. So that's what we're here for.
God, over the years, how many times I've had students, when we be on breaks or at lunch or something, they'll come to me and they'll go, Bucky, oh my God, I really don't mind. I mean, sometimes when you're standing there watching me, I swear to God, when you're running that line and Dave's coming individually back and forth and kind of working with us, God, that makes me nervous. I said, that's what he's there for. That's what he's there for. You're getting independent one-on-one instruction from the guy that you paid to come see. I'm running the line. He's using my voice and eyes. He's there to help you. And they're like, I know, but oh my God, I said, stop being intimidated by who he is and take advantage of what he is, which is a good trainer with a lot of experience, and he can fix a lot of your dumb shit that you've done for years. He may give you something that may fix it in 10 seconds. It's taking you 10 years to build up a mess.
Hey, right there. There's a perfect example of somebody I fixed in 10 seconds. All I had to do was get her on her toes, and she's like, this is remarkable. Not really, but you didn't know, did you?
Yeah. I'm going to make a comment. All right. This is my 70th or 71st class. I'm not quite sure. I have to count. The point that I'm making, Grumpy, is that by the time I came to train with him for the first time years ago, imagine that my training experience was a pegboard with a bunch of lights on it, and there were a bunch of dark spots on it. And the first time I trained with this grump, every single dark spot on that board in my mind lit up. And what I realized was all the stupid crap that I'd been taught as a cop and as a student went out the window because he erased it. He filled in every single gap. He filled in seriously, he filled in every single gap that was missing. And I went, are you freaking kidding me? Why has no one ever shown this to me? That's who's standing in front of you.
Well, that's the one thing I pride myself on. I do kind of look at this a little different than other people. I always looked at it as a fight, not a shooting class.
Yeah.
After all those accolades, I forgot where I was. Anyway, so we'll be moving on to moving and stuff like that into a natural progression. Again, look at your target. You should be getting better. Those of you who are not shooting well, you all share a common thing. You're thinking it's going to be something really technical. It's not. Your brain's fucked up. You can tell when you're standing there by the look on your face that you're having a hard time concentrating, focusing on this. There's so much going at you at once. Remember that skill building pyramid? Essentials, concentration, consistency. That concentration is always the toughest level. And you've got to learn to push all of this out and think about what you're doing. We have explained to you in great detail what you have to do. You got to do it now. I can't jump inside your brain or inside your hands and make you do it. You have to have the level of commitment, focus, concentration, like John Wick. He's a man of focus, concentration, and sheer will. Same thing.
Do you have a pencil on you?
Huh?
Can you show us how to kill people with a pencil?
No. You know what, though? I do love those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get, they're absurd. But let's face it, Jason Bourne, James Bond, John Wick, those guys would have been dead decades ago, right? A long time ago. But you got to give Keanu Reeves credit for the way he works at it. You know, what is he, like 57 years old?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. But anyway, yeah, you guys got to be thinking about what you're doing. And if you're not concentrating, if you're saying, oh, I suck, you've got to learn positive self-talk. What are you doing right? Focus on that. Don't focus on what you're doing wrong. Focus on what you're doing right. If you can do that, then we can help you. If you cannot pay attention, then there's not much I can do for you. So, yes, sir.
Instructor tidbits yesterday about we're doing demos, things like that. I don't know if you noticed it or not. And Dave, if we do a demo and he shanks one or whatever, use it as a teaching point. If some of you instructors get up there and do demos in front of your class, if you're not willing to admit, hey, good, I'm not perfect, but let's use it as a teaching point. I did this, and that's what happened. Sometimes instructors won't do that. I've been through classes where an instructor won't demo or shoot or, you know, look at a student's gun or whatever for fear of making a mistake and their ego getting bruised. One of the things over the years in working with Dave is seeing him even on those days that he's just absolutely on, which pisses me off. But wait, if I get, but if I get 11 more years of practice, you know, maybe I'll be him. Anyway, but being able to, as instructors, take some of the things back that you get out of this class and add into not only a humbled, competent ego to be a good trainer, and use anytime you shank something as a great teaching point, because especially if it follows on right after some of the things that you covered. So I wanted to mention that from yesterday before I got too hot and forgot today.
Guys, really quick, I'm going to pride myself on something without trying to be too egotistical. I'm not a gifted shooter. I've had some success with this. I really have. And, you know, I've been blessed. But I was the kid that grew up that couldn't hit the baseball, couldn't shoot the basketball. Shooting, to me, has been a big struggle. And what I pride myself on is that I got better at it by breaking down what I needed to know and understanding the human physiology behind that. I have a good understanding of how to do this. If you will listen to me and not sleep through it, you'll probably learn something from it. Okay? Take in the words, absorb them, and we'll help you with it. We can make you better at this. Do it well. Every time you do one of these things, you're building part of a neural pathway. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, bottom blue. 3 rounds. It's not time. Take your time.
Up! Take your hand off of it. Now, why is it all cocked in your hand? Okay? Should be straight down your arm, just like this. Okay? You've got plenty big hands. It doesn't need to be turned like that. All right, so there. Like this. Now, take this. Lay it right there like that. Now, you see?
I don't know what
it's gone. Unlock your elbows. No, unlock them. See, by unlocking them, you can actually push in. See that? That's what you should be doing. I shouldn't be able to put my finger up in there like that. That is contact you're not getting.
I get more, but
yeah. If you build that grip every time, you will get better. Okay? But it's going to take concentration. You can't revert back to what you did because it feels right, because it wasn't right. Okay? All right. Okay, good job. Recover to the holster.
A lot better today. Man, yesterday I was laying eggs left and right.
Build a good grip every time. Don't accept a shit grip. Well, this grip doesn't feel good. My older one feels better, but it sucked. The only way you'll get better is to do it correctly. All right? Cool? All right, good deal. Fade back to the 15. Hup! This is as much about concentration as it is about shooting. Make your hands do your bidding. You got a 3-round drill coming up. 3 rounds. Okay.
He was talking to you too. Did you shoot that clean?
Are you building that grip?
No, I think I missed one,
Oh, okay.
but I'm not sure. But I did a heck of a lot better today than I did yesterday, because yesterday I was not pistol dialed in, and I slept better last night too.
That always helps. Looked clean from here. I was like, I didn't want to say anything. Like,
You're falling.
No, I doubt it.
Heels again. Okay, let's go check them out.
I've never shot it clean, so if I do this time, I'll be floored. Well, look at that. I think that actually might be clean. Nope, one's out. One's out. Yeah, I got one out.
oh, that fucking sucks. You were so close.
Yeah. What's funny is with these sights, you're having to aim here to hit here at 75 feet, yeah. 9mm is just a weird animal. When I'm shooting at like 80 yards and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm aiming at its waist to hit it here.
Hey, if I'm shooting this
All right, what are you doing?
You know, I'm gotta be doing this.
Here, give me your hand. Your hand is the gun. Your index finger is the trigger. Okay? Give me a little resistance with your index finger. So what happens is you start to press the trigger. You start to press the trigger. Feel how this? See what I'm doing? You feel the other ones move? Okay. What you're doing is you start to get pressure. You go.
Yep.
Okay? All right, so here. Don't do that. How'd you do, Abner? Not bad.
Dropped
Missed
one.
one, huh?
Yeah.
Close. Very close.
Thank you, sir.
Very close. Going low, aren't you?
I think so.
Going low. Same thing. You're shooting your pistol. Boom, 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 boom. When you start to build trigger resistance, you go. And it probably brings the muzzle down. Okay? All right. Good deal. Go top off your magazines. Relay 1.
Handgun's a booger.
We had a couple of very
Nothing but work.
nice.
Only dropped one.
Nice.
A couple lot better than I did yesterday.
Really good one is did it arrive back on target? That'll tell you when you press the second one. Here we go. 2 shots. Ready? Shoot!
That was the point he was making about recoil control, because you got to shoot 2 rounds. Okay.
All right, we're gonna do it
Hey,
again.
have the brain fart.
We're gonna do it again. Ben, you can redeem yourself. Gonna do it again. Second call for 2 shots. Remember that whole reset and you're in recoil. You guys know that? You're gonna be doing it. Watch your target. Ready? Shoot! Back in the holster, focus, good path on the way back into the holster. Let's go last call on 2 shots. Last call on 2 shots. Let's manage that recoil, have that front sight land back where it should.
I'm gonna stand here and watch Dave. Watch him.
Ready? Shoot!
got the edge, but almost.
I wish
The
you'd
path on the way back into the
Hey, Dave.
holster.
Dave, what's the tape? What's the tape?
Go. First call.
snag
in the shirt.
Gotcha,
Three
yeah.
shots. First call for 3 shots. You get a couple of opportunities to see if that front sight goes back where it should. First call for 3 shots. Watch your dot. Ready? Shoot. There's a lot going on with this. It's a simple dot. There's a lot going on with it. Think about everything you can get from it, especially in a practice session. Here we go. Second call, 3 rounds. Ready? Shoot!
What do you think I'm doing for recoil control? I put my finger in there. Yeah, remember what grip is. It's applying inward pressure and creating friction.
All right, guys, last call for 3 shots. Last call for 3 shots. Let's focus. Having 3 shots means focus. If you focus on 2 and let your brain fly on the 3rd one, that's your fault. Stay focused throughout all 3. Here we go. Ready? Shoot! Wait a second, I shouldn't be answering those. What's the first one? What's the second one, Todd?
Did it return to something? Oh, no, did it hit where I was aiming?
Yeah. What's the third one?
Did it return where it was supposed to?
And what's the last one?
Did I reset my trigger?
Damn straight. We're gonna do all
Bless
that.
you.
Thank you. Okay, did I do all that?
They're cast and efficient.
Shoot! You should be asking yourself, why did I just suck so bad? That's not one of the questions, but you should. Back in the holster. It's just 1 shot.
Oh,
It's just
shit.
1 shot.
One shot.
Yeah, just 1 shot.
1 round at a time.
No, Sean heard 1 mag.
Here we go. Second call, single shot from the holster. Second call, single shot from the holster. Ready? Shoot! Last call, single shot from the holster. Up and out. Ask yourself the questions. There's a lot going on. Focus even with 1 round. Shoot! First call, 2 rounds. First call, 2 rounds. You're going to be having to manage that recoil control because you want that sight to arrive back where you started. Ready? Shoot!
Okay, here.
If you didn't, why?
Build your grip out here.
My grip sucked.
When the gun turns, build the grip here.
Here we go. Second call.
That way you've got
2
better
shots.
ability to
Second
place
call.
it.
2 shots. Focus.
If you get about right
Ready?
here, and then you
Shoot.
bring your hand in, what's the chance of Okay. If you build it here, then you're better place it. You've got that triangulation.
Here we go. Last call. 2 shots. Last call. 2 shots. Ready? Shoot!
What's with the dwell time between when the gun arrives out there and you fire?
I was going to get to
I had LASIK surgery earlier this year, and I'm having to relearn how to see my fiber
Well, that
optics.
sounds like a
right,
lame-ass
guys.
excuse.
It's been an interesting learning
I
curve.
shouldn't have to prompt you, but we're going to be doing 3 calls of 3 rounds. I'll bet you probably need ammo to do that. Really does break your focus and concentration. You've got to reload because you didn't have enough gas in your gun. Here we go. First call, 3 rounds from the you're done. Concentrate, not just for 2, but all 3. Ready? Shoot! Good pass on the way back in the holster. Be mindful of your shirt. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Stand by. And shoot. Last call. Focus, focus. 3 rounds. Make it the best one. Ready? Shoot.
Ooh, sending the mud home.
Number of things you can do. If you'll notice on my vest right here, I put some patches on it. Allows me to evacuate it a little bit better. Some of the things you can do on shirts like this is weed whacker or fishing wire. You can put them down the front. I've seen people weight their pockets, and that's fine as long as the jacket doesn't look like this because it's got so much weight in it. That kind of sticks out weird. See what Mike's got? Mike just taped his shirt up. That works too. What it gives you is it gives you a rigid edge so that when you pull it back out of the way, it evacuates cleanly. It moves back out of the way. It's not doing something like this because you've grabbed it here and it's so flexible it does something like that. Also, when you do that, you want to make sure you evacuate it cleanly so you don't end up with something, like this. Right? Where now you've got a handful of jacket, a handful of shirt, a handful of gun, and now you can't do anything. So, I am very, very deliberate in how I do this. The techniques I will share with you may not be as fast if you're addicted to the electronic timer readout, but they will get out of the way every time. And isn't that what we want? Or I should say they will get out of the way every time provided you do your part and do it correctly. So far, so good. Okay, good deal. I kind of just made up names for them. You can do whatever you want, but the first one that I come up with I call the hook technique. And it's because I literally make a hook out of my hand. And what I do is I come up and I literally engage my abdomen so that I know I go under the garment. I know I go under the garment. I know I go under the garment. Dan, what point did I just make?
You know that you go under the garment.
Yes. Okay. Why do I want to make sure I go under the garment? Because I don't want to end up here, right? If you don't go under the garment on all of these open front techniques, what doesn't happen? Doesn't give you the gun, right? Okay, so hook here like this. And then what I do is basically the same thing I do in my draw stroke. I take my elbow straight to the rear. Out of the way. When it's out of the way, then I grab my gun, acquire my grip. You notice that I didn't let it go until I had my grip. That way if it falls back over, so what? Up, out to the target. Okay? That's one way. Another one is a lapel slide. I stole this from Kelly McCann. When I asked him for the purpose for it, he says, well, think about this for a minute. You get to moving, and your garment's going back and forth like this. If you look at it, what's moving the least? Up here. Almost as if he thought about it. Okay? So it's a lot like the hook technique. The only difference is he's coming up here. Elbow straight to the rear, draw the pistol, out. Okay? So basically what you're doing, you come up here, slide back, up, out. Works fine.
Hey Dave, you're actually going rearward. You're going behind and then coming forward to get the gun. Your hand going past.
Well, it's going past it so I can evacuate it out of the way. What I want is I want this open so I don't end up with this. So it's got to be clear of your gun. It's got to be totally out of the way. And flipping it might be faster, but you don't have control. The minute it leaves my hand, I have no control over that garment whatsoever. So up, back, on the gun. So far so good? Okay, good deal. Now, Another one that was taught, I call it the HK technique because I learned this when I was an adjunct instructor for the HK International Training Division. It actually came from a fella named Tom Marks, who was a Chicago cop, then he was an instructor at the Smith & Wesson Academy, and then he was in manufacturing, and anyway, he worked for Smith. Then he went from Smith to Uncle Mike's and then to Black Hawk, and anyway, he jumped around the industry a little bit. And his idea, again, was maximum garment control. So he would put his hand right on his abdomen, just like this, and bring it back. I mean, talk about the maximum amount of control. There's no way it can slide underneath your hand. You see that? Works pretty good. What would be the downside if I ended up with my hand over top the garment? So you got to make sure you're on your abdomen, back, up, out. So far, so good.
Hey, Dave, can I see that one facing this direction, please?
Fuck you, man.
Okay. I already had the hotel do that.
Absolutely. Here. Okay?
I was just curious whether it was your thumb that was
No.
dragging.
Just laying it flat on your belly and pulling it back. And the bad thing would be is if your hand's partially on your jacket. Then as you can see, you're getting nowhere. So it's got to be on your abdomen, back, up and out. So far, so good? Okay. A technique, it actually, I don't know really what to call it. I was watching, everybody know who Jelly Bryce is?
Yes.
Jelly Bryce was a Oklahoma cop that became an FBI agent that had probably the fastest draw I have ever seen, period. As a matter of fact, in like 1945, he was on the cover of Life magazine. He drew and fired in like 2/5 of a second. He was a point shooter. But I was looking at his hands when he did this, and of course you got to remember the big shoulder jackets that kind of drape down like this, so the garments were a little bit different than the fitted stuff we wear now. But what I noticed was that when he would go and draw, he did not really a hook, but it looked like a claw. And what it kind of struck me as is it was like a combination of Tom Marks' abdominal and the hook technique, because what he would do is he would come in like this. You see what my hand's doing?
Yeah.
And he literally would pull it back out of the way. And what I noticed about it that was pretty, well, I appreciated about it, is when he pulled it back, when he got here, look at the configuration of his hand.
Yeah. He's ready to grab.
It was ready to go. And I thought, I bet he thought about that. Right? I bet he thought about that. So so there's that too. So and that's fine. The technique that people find the most amusing, but actually has a lot of utility to it, I got from a guy named Jack Manfrey. Jack Manfrey from Chicago PD. Talked out the side of his mouth. He's left us now, which is unfortunate because he was a heck of a nice guy. He was a Chicago police officer for, I think, 120 years. And then he worked at the academy even as after he retired, and he was Beretta had a training division for a short period of time, and he was their instructor. And this is the first time I ever saw it. And he talked about this draw technique, and when I saw him do it,
Oh yeah.
the first thing I thought of was Bela Lugosi and Dracula.
Yes.
But it works.
And I said, man, that's like the Count Dracula draw. And he goes, I like that, Dave, I like that. So it became the Count Dracula draw. And if you noticed, you probably saw it in the second John Wick movie.
Yep.
You know, that had nothing to do with me. But it has taken off because if you can get the come out of the way, it works pretty good. What's the problem with it?
Both hands.
Your hands in the way.
The other hand.
This hand is a pretty far away in order to build. So I modified it. What I like to do is I like to pull it out and bring my hand back. You see where the garment's trapped here now so it can't fall? But when I draw it and I let go, I can get to it. Also think about this. You're standing there like that and you're getting ready to draw. Ah! You know, so don't really care which one you kind of play with. You can play with all of them. Certainly you're welcome to do that. And I don't really care which one that you decide to settle on. The only thing I will tell you with an open front garment, make sure that you maintain control of it all the way back until you have a solid grip on the pistol. If you just lose control for a minute, it'll go sideways on you. I'm a big believer in Murphy's Law. It seems to me that Murphy lives in my bedroom. I mean, he's always there. You know, if something can go wrong, it will, and it just goes wrong all the time. So I'm very deliberate. I like a lot of control over that garment. I would strongly suggest you guys do the same. As far as which of the techniques you pick, don't care. I'm not married to any of them. All right? I tend to do that Jelly Bryce thing, but it's not what you have to do. Keep in mind that the type of garment you've got on is going to make a big deal. Something very thick, very rigid, that pulls out of the way very easily, it's going to be a whole lot easier than like a summer type shirt. Especially as you get a little bit sweaty and now it starts to drag and things like that. But keep in mind, just because you put something over it doesn't mean you're ready. You guys over here? Cool? All right. Let me deal with closed front garments. I got to do a wardrobe change. Now, the first thing we want to comment on with closed front garments, be a bit selective with them. Don't just pull something over. Why is that? Because if I'm carrying a closed front garment where the hem is here today and there tomorrow, does that potentially cause a problem? The muscular confusion in removing that garment could be pretty great. Also keep in mind the butt factor. Anybody got any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
What will happen is your garment is so long that when you go to pull on it, it gets stuck on the cheeks of your ass.
Yeah, but I have no butt, so.
And you can't, it'll still get stuck. If you've got glutes at all, it'll get stuck. You'd have to be flat like a board. So when you start thinking about that, you want to think about the length of the hem of the garments you're carrying. I was told, I've never met the gentleman, I'm not going to give you his name, but I'm told there's a very famous instructor out there who is a big advocate of the appendix carry. And he wears the same pair of pants and the same shirt every day of his life so that he can do this. And I'm like, it's his clothes, he can do what he wants, you know? But I'm not that rigid. So,
Easy to identify the suspect.
the shorter the hem with the forward carry, think about it. You only need that much. Why does it have to be down here? Well, that's the shirt I own. Well, maybe you ought to kind of start. I know this is a bad thing to say in this day and age, and the younger generation don't like me saying it, but maybe you need to dress around the gun. Well, if that's going to interrupt the way I dress, I'm not carrying a gun. You're a dumbass. Okay? Maybe you need to think about evacuating that garment and stuff like that, okay? So you don't need an overly long garment, especially you don't want it to be like snagged behind your butt cheeks. Everybody pretty much does this already. I mean, it's the most obvious way to do it. You basically draw the garment up and out of the way and it's totally exposed. The ladies, and not you, Carrie, I haven't seen you do this, but I've seen a lot of ladies want to carry this way and they only want to lift the garment up just as much as they have to because someone may see their abdomen or they'll see their bra or something like that. If you're going to a gun class, wear a sports bra. And hey, if you're well endowed, show him. Why, he's looking at him shooting. Flash them bad boys at him, and while he's looking at him shooting full fucking hole.
That's what the flashbang holster is about.
I told that to my wife, and she said she thought that made a ton of sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
The jury's going to want to see it several times.
Hold that up here. Remember, when our hands come together on the draw stroke, they're here. Bring it up there where you're ready to go. Now I've got this big tent, this big triangle that it's fully exposed. I draw it up. I let it go. Look where my hands are at. Build the grip. take it to the target, yeehaw. That's why it's so fast. Everything's right here in front of you. Hell yes, it's going to be fast. It's less distance travel. I've got no problem with it. It works fine. The real problem with it is putting it away, right? We've already talked about that. You want to do that very carefully. And certainly when you go to put it away, don't break your body all the way down. Just rotate it in. All right? So bring it all the way up, draw it, let it go, build the grip, boom. What about one hand?
Yeah.
Remember, your open front garment's always a one-hand draw, isn't it?
Yep. Unless you're
It's always a one-handed draw. That's one of the disadvantages of this. Stand up. If I'm in a hand-to-hand confrontation, it's going to be grip. The gun is literally now between me and him. I'm going to have to fight to get exposure. But I can't take it down, can I? If I take this hand off of him, he's going to close on me. Thank you. And what's the chance that your gunfight starts out as a physical confrontation?
pretty higher than
Yeah. So you've got to have a one-handed draw. And I've seen a lot of people do these things where they, I get my thumb up underneath here and I pull it up and I get it. And that looks great when you're on the sterile range and everything. Do it while you're trying to get this guy off of you. Or do it while you're moving. A little bit different, right? A little bit different. Like I always said, I could convince you guys a little bit more of these things if I could just punch you in the face a little bit first. It'll change your perspective on it. So Dave, what are you advocating? Well, we've got to get it sure. Once again, it's about being sure. We've got to get that hem stable. So what am I advocating? Yep, it's a little bit slower, but the minute I do this, where's my garment going to be?
Out of the way.
And there's people that poo-poo this and say, oh, it's a terrible idea, it's too slow. What do you want? Sure or slow? Or sure or fast? If I'm in, come on back up here again. If I'm in here like this and we're fighting, I want to make sure it's coming out. I don't want to be flipping it and folding it and stuff like that. Stem it, go ahead. And trying to do something like this, and now I'm in here.
Yep. And we've seen that in the 2x2x2.
Seen it a number of times in the
Yeah.
2x2x2. Nice try. How'd that work for you?
Been there.
Good. So, tuck it, draw it.
You're just hooking underneath, Dave?
Huh?
You're just hooking underneath and then
Watch,
pulling it
yeah.
back?
All I'm doing is I'm just putting it in behind.
And then you just make sure.
And then I just draw again. It's like, well, that's just too simple. Duh!
You think about
Duh!
that?
Absolutely,
Simple is good.
it's too simple.
Smart
Okay?
guy told me about the S's.
The 3S test?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just tuck it, draw it. You're just getting it out of the way, which is something, you know, I've seen guys try to do it with one hand like that, and they look like they're strumming a guitar, trying to get the garment out of the way. Well, you know what? How many of this is it going to take to get it done? How many of this is it going to take to get done? Never give up a known for an unknown. But the other's faster.
Baby.
Not when you need it. Not when you need it.
Get back! Good! Get back! Man, you almost don't want to put your support hand in the mix. You notice that too?
Exactly.
Good! Get back! Good! Good! Get back! Good!
Carrying on our hip, closed front garment. Now we've lost the advantage of having it all in front of us. but it's very concealed. I mean, it's tucked away deep, you know, unless I literally do something like this. Probably not going to expose it. In this day and age, it's a possibility maybe somebody will think it's a cell phone. Have you seen the size of the cell phone that Bucky wears on his belt?
Have you seen how bad
thought
my
it was
eyes
a-
are?
I thought it was a trauma thing.
Anyway, so a couple of different ways we can do this. The biggest mistake with the first one I'm going to show you, which is called the Hackathorn Rip, named after Ken Hackathorn, is that people don't reach around far enough to do it. They try to get right here and pull it, and then what's this turn into? A big hook. And now you can't get there from here, can you? If you're going to do the Hackathorn Rip, you've got to literally reach across like this and get right below the pistol and pull it up into your armpit. Then you can draw the pistol. Okay? Those of you who are well fed may have difficulty doing that. I get it. I get it. It's a slim person's technique. But you know, give it a try. Give it a try and see if it works for you. A number of people are using a two-hand rip, and Tom Gibbons is a real big proponent of this, and he does it really, really well. But what Tom advocates is he comes over here like this, and he pulls up. But if you'll notice what Tom does that many of you don't do, as I see some of you guys doing this, you're pulling the gun all the way up here with both hands, and then you're going down here to get the pistol. When I had Tom in my class and I was watching him do it, Tom goes right here like this, but only this one goes all the way up.
He's clearing the grip.
He uses both hands to make sure that his garment comes up and out of the way, but the right hand stops right here and he goes to the grip, which sets this hand up wonderfully for receiving the pistol. Did you guys see that? So he's right here, they reach here like this, pull up. Big difference between that and pulling all the way up here and now having to go back down here.
Your laser is on.
Your laser's on.
I'm muzzling myself here.
No, I just wanted you to know so you wouldn't drain the battery. I know, screw me, shut up.
Battery. Who is that masked man? So once again, back here like this, but only one hand goes all the way up. Then it goes back again. Okay? Anybody know of something that I did not discuss? Something you want to educate us with? I got to get this off. This is just driving me nuts. It's hard to believe that I carried that way for like 25 years. What we're going to do is we're just going to do some draw and shoots. Gave you a little more distance, no big deal. You have to have a little more deliberate. You're going to draw from the concealing garment and location of your choice. Do it well. It's not a speed event. On the command, you'll draw, fire 2 rounds. Ask, did I hit him? Did I hit him well? Did it work? Then come off the target. Okay? Not a speed event. Yes, sir.
Are we mixing 2 and 1, or are you going to do 2 and then 1?
What are you talking about? I'm not sure.
I'm starting to draw, so I was going to work
It's
on
going to be a draw and shoot 2.
draw.
Draw and shoot 2. Draw and shoot 2.
So I can start working on the one-handed draw.
We'll tell you to go one-handed. Yeah, we'll tell you to go one-handed. All right. All right, now you close front guys, you need to do a little bit one-handed. I know that two-handed's a lot more fun, but, you know, okay? Simple, straightforward drill, right? Okay. Darren, you're going to run the range.
I'm going to use the same command as Dave. When I say up, draw and shoot 2 rounds. Up!
Don't scoop. Up, turn, out.
All right, recover to the
Don't
holster.
make me get my stick. Don't make me get my stick out. We don't want no scoopers. Feel the difference between the 2 draws? Now, let's put this into practicality. What could this be right here? Could be a steering wheel, dashboard, table you're sitting behind, somebody in front of you. Yeah, all those various things. That's why you want to come up and go over instead of underneath, okay?
Up! Cover to the holster.
You're supposed to put the round in the square.
Up. All right, we're chunking it all together, right? So don't throw out everything we learned about presentation. Up. Are we doing reset and recovery? Is there sight aligning where we want it? Up. Up. Up.
Like you're thinking through, and you can tell you're being very deliberate and a bit.
I don't do that. I normally do this one, so I'm trying to make sure it's try Dave's version.
That's right. I really appreciate that being so deliberate. You're really focusing.
Because if I don't think I'm going to do this.
Yeah, over exaggerating a little bit, it'll burn those neural pathways for you. Here we go.
Up.
Good deal, good deal.
Up. Up.
Tom, take advantage of this. Instead of catching the gun out here, when you're moving that garment, keep that hand right here. Right on. Okay?
Up.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You're still hot, go ahead.
Up. Up. All right, we're chunking it all together, right? We don't want to throw out what we learned yesterday and earlier today. So no ditch digging, right? Up and out. It's like an upside down L.
You sleep with that thing, Abner?
What's that?
You sleep with that gun or something?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Good hit. Good hit.
Thank you, sir.
You guys with the closed front garments, let's put some one-hand work in. Put some one-handed work in.
Still a two-handed shot. One-handed garment removal.
Guys, don't think of it in terms of snatching it out of the holster. It's still a draw. It's still a draw.
Up. Up.
Give them a couple more reps and call it a day.
Up. All right, this will be our last repetition. Give me everything you got. Make it a good one. Up. Up and down the line.
Ooh, that gun's hot.
Never could pull off a good reload, and it was just it was. And after I started thinking about and analyzing it, I realized I was trying to do too many things at one time. When in reality, you do one thing at a time and you do it in its turn. Okay? What am I talking about? Well, I'm here shooting and the slide lock's open, and what's the first thing I do? Is I come back here and I grab my magazine. And then I'm trying to eject this. At the same time, I'm trying to draw this, and if it doesn't come out, maybe I'm shaking it or doing something. And then I'm trying to bring it up here, and I'm trying to marry these two. Does anybody see any problem with all that? Because let's face it, the more I thought about it, there was 3 reasons why a reload didn't go well. This was moving, or they both were moving. And I couldn't marry them together. If you're going to insert one thing into another, at that moment, they have to be still. They have to be solidly in place. And that is very, very difficult to do when you're trying to do stuff here, and then bring them all together. When they come together, it's a thing of beauty, and that was a wonderful reload. And then the next time it doesn't go sideways. Think about it. All that's required for this not to go is for this to be here. Right? That's all it requires. Or to be over here. Or to be here. Everything's got to be just correct, right? So that's the problem. And what does movement do? Exacerbates it. Because now you're moving and trying to get things stable. So the way I broke this down, I thought, well, first of all, I'm shooting here. I want to try to stay as close to this position as I can. Why? This is where I fight, right? This is where I want to be. Let me preface something for you guys. When we do manipulations, especially on the square range, we're real cavalier about it. We're doing them, we're doing our thing, and we're jaw-jacking around, we're having a good time and all that kind of shit. When what we're losing sight of is if we were doing this in real life, we're having to manipulate this gun in some way. You're being shot at, dumbass! Right now, my gun's running like a sewing machine. I'm at a high level of peril. I could lose my life at any millisecond. And now all of a sudden, in the middle of that activity, I've got to stop and fuck with my gun. You are in trouble. Get that in your head right now. You don't have time to dick around. The fastest reload will always be the one that you get on the first attempt. Not the third or fourth or fifth attempt, because the technique you like is fast on the square range when you've got your timer out. You want a technique that's going to work every time. Do you understand that? That's why I don't teach a one-hand double feed clearance manipulation. Fucking run! You're not going to get that done in 10, 12, 14 seconds. We'll find cover. Easier said than done. So, with that thought in mind, I started breaking this down. Boom, 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 boom. I want to move this gun as little as possible. But trying to reload out here, it's a non-starter. Especially if I'm suddenly moving, because the inertia of my fully extended hands aren't going to work real well. It's actually going to make it worse.
Guys, understand some states used to teach the cops to do that.
Oh, that's how I first learned it.
That's right.
Everything out here like this. And it was great when you were all standing still.
That's how we were taught. Because they don't want that gun anywhere near your appendages.
Yeah, okay, let me put it to you in a way that you'll understand. Stupid.
Yeah.
All I'm asking you to do is just break at the elbows. It makes it much steadier. And as you can see, I'm not going that far away. I'm not going that far away. I'm not pulling it all the way into here. This is the one of the things I disagree with Kelly on. Where's Mike? You know how he does this down here?
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
He got it up higher now.
And I've told him that. I told him that's a terrible idea.
He's got it up higher now.
Yeah, man, anyway. So, all I do here. Matter of fact, what I found worked pretty well for me is if I went right here and just, I'm not trying to find a particular location on my torso. I just bring it here. Unless this arm grows to some weird length overnight, it's always going to be right there. So all I'm, boom. One of the bigger mistakes you'll see people make is they don't turn the gun. They try to reload it up here like this. Look at the twist involved. Just turn it in the direction of your magazine. So far, so good? Now, I wanted to eliminate as much of this as possible. This moving, this moving. So what I decided, and it worked very well, is I would bring the gun back here and I would acquire the magazine first. Bring it up next to it. Insert it. Back. Now why? Well, Dave, the magazine's empty. Why are you saving it? I'm not saving the empty magazine. Let me say this in a way you'll understand. Don't give a fuck about the empty magazine. It's the continuity of action. You're doing one thing at a time. You haven't got two hands moving. Also, we all agree that we want this to be still, right? Anybody dispute that? Look what happens to my forearm when I push that button. That gun is going to be more still at that moment than any other time in the process. Why don't I use it? Make sure I take my thumb off the button, or what happens?
Good magazine.
It falls back out again. Yeah. And then at that point right there, all I do is close the book. I'm in a high ready position. Take the gun back to the target. You basically do one thing at a time. So, God, I hate doing that.
Make Darren do it.
Why is that ground so far
The
away?
closer you get to 70,
every year.
the less you want to bend over.
Wait till you hit 50.
Just something across your back, you don't want to do it. So, again, I'm not going to try to do it fast because you can't see it fast. But I'm boom, 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 slide lock's open. I got a problem. What am I going to do? Can't get any simpler than that. But that desire for you guys to dump it, reach it, try to bring them together. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't work, it blows. It's not the fastest method, but it's not bad. And you know when it really works well? Because if you have the space and you have to reload and you stand still like one of those, you're a dumbass. Did I explain that well?
Thought so.
Now, continuity of action. You're carrying your holster, your pistol here. You carry your spare magazine here. You carry the pistol over here. You carry the magazine there. You can just see it. You can just feel it. I reach here for my pistol, but reach here for my magazine, it feels disjointed. But if I reach here, I reach here. If I reach here, I reach here. No big deal. What's the difference? I'm just reaching here. Probably a pretty good idea if you're going to carry forward of the hip that you cant it a little bit so that you can get your hand on it. If it's upright, now you're twisting your hand around like this, kind of, you know. Well, Gumby can probably do it, but most of you other guys probably, it'd be a little bit difficult. So you probably want to cant it a little bit so you can get your hand on it. Now, getting your hand on it, there is something that's kind of interesting. I have been noticing on your reloads, and I want to be
delicate.
Nice about
Be
this.
delicate.
Most of your reloads really suck. Like a fucking rock. Yeah. They suck. Why? Well, for the most part, you've got a less than optimal magazine pouch because the guy at the gun store sold you what he had and not what you needed. A proper magazine pouch should cover no more than half the magazine body. If it covers more than that, it's going to be really difficult for you guys to get a grip on it. And I've seen it so many times. Guy comes in, he gets a Glock 26. Oh, go ahead, take this 17 magazine. It'll work. It'll hold the magazine. There's nothing to grab hold of, but it'll hold the magazine. Get a magazine pouch that's designed for the length of magazine that you carry. Why would you not do that? There's a wonderful magazine pouch available on the Handgun Combatives store, right, Darren? Right, Darren? I can't believe you blew that opportunity.
I thought that's why he was going to the truck to go grab one.
I should have hold it up. It's right here. You know.
So what does that end up in? It ends up in with people because all they've got is that sticking out of their pouch. So they grab a hold of it, and this is the way they grab their magazine. And or something like, I've seen it here. Look at all of the weight that is above your hand. Do you really think that's going to go well? The magazine needs to be in the palm of your hand with your fingers wrapped around it. Tip of the index finger to the tip of the bullet so that you can control it. Now, look at that. And if you do get, because it can happen, every once in a while, because the magazine's been bouncing around, you've been moving, you'll get something like this. It's called a long round. Watch this. This is a pretty high-speed technique. Don't share it with anybody. It's right along with Dan's stuff. Because I go too fast.
That's amazing. See the replay?
Okay. But only for you guys.
That makes more sense.
Because look at it. If you have that, ain't gonna go, is it? Salt, right? Okay. So when you do that, basically you're going back like this. Your thumb goes in behind it. See that? Thumb goes in behind it. I basically, with my thumb basically bottoms out on my belt line. Good enough. Lower fingers wrap around it. Index finger goes to the front, pull it up, there it is. If I happen to have my gun at that appropriate angle, it makes everything wonderful. If my gun is here, now I'm doing one of these. You would be better off going too far than not at all. Okay? No different here. Reach down, thumb behind it, fingers wrap around it, up and out. Well, Dave, reloads seldom happen in gunfights. Until they do. And let's be honest. You're here with your full-size Glock or FN or HK and all that. It's got 15, 17, 18 rounds in it. But then you venture out and you get your little Glock 43, whatever the case may be. The less number of rounds that's in your pistol, the more likely reloading will be. So one more time, explaining it. And if you don't understand it, let me know, because I'm really trying to go hard at this so you guys see everything I'm doing. So if you get up here and you fuck it up, I'm going to say, why'd you do that? Well, didn't you see me do it? Well, yeah. Were you paying attention? Well, I may not have seen it all. You're $1,300. I know in the Webster's Dictionary they would call that dumbass. All right? Okay. So I'm here. Boom, 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 boom. Just bend the elbows. Take the weight off the end of it. Here. Reach back. Thumb behind it. Up. Here it is. Eject. Insert. Boom. You can insert the magazine. You can come across in what I call a saddle or an overhand grip. and you can power stroke it.
L.A.
Okay.
Give me a moment.
Watch this.
Dave, you look scared.
Watch this. Ready? Why in the fuck do my hands have to be this far apart to do that? So, insert it, come over top, pull it. Did you see what I did? Inserted it, all I did was come over top, I just pulled it. My hand never even left the grip. Or you can inboard, the way I like to do things. Up like this, turn it in, pull it, like that. Okay? Now, in answer to your question, Mr. Smith, you have no idea how much I don't give a fuck which one of them you use. And I mean that with all sincerity. It's totally up to you. The only thing that I would say is minimal movement, efficiency, the least amount of time, effort, and energy expended, and that you do it well. Beyond that, yeah, who gives a shit?
Guys, I know you may go through some different classes, but you'll have people say, never do that, or don't be reaching for that lever. It wasn't designed for that. That's usually they're talking about stock Glock releases. Man, have you seen? John Browning knew what the hell he was talking about with those 1911s. You could set your wife and kids on some of those.
Yeah, the slide lock lever you could put your truck on. You know? Yeah, it was almost like...
Dave always says if he didn't want you to do that, why did Browning make it that way? There it is. If you say his name, he does that.
Yeah, and he put it in the middle because he realized you could come up and do that. It was the Europeans that helped us out by putting it right under our thumb, so it won't lock open when we want it.
We did a video on that a couple of years ago on the YouTube channel with Bucky, actually, to time to see does it really make a difference, and I think each one of them was maybe within a tenth of a second. Yeah. So
it does. It's up to you. I don't care as long as you do it well. One thing I will give you a solution to. Many of you have long fingers and thumbs, and you may find yourself riding the slide stop lever of your Glock. If it's a first, second, or third gen, even a fourth gen, right?
Softball.
If you want a slide lock lever your thumb won't lay on, you can go to the Handgun Combatives store where you can get the Dave Spaulding design bullet forward slide lock lever.
Tuesday.
Okay?
You feel longer
You want
fingers?
that's right there. Okay? Magazine release button. If you can't engage it, get a taller one.
I know where you can get those at too.
Get a taller one. Glock, the stock Glock magazine release button is flush to the grip by design, because the original Swiss Army was Austrian Army specs was they got one magazine. They didn't want it to come out unless you physically pulled it out of the gun. When the gun got to the United States, they couldn't understand why people would want to eject it with one hand. So they came up with what they call their competition button, because Gaston Glock could never admit he was wrong. So I just designed one for you competition folks. Just get one that's taller so you got the leverage to push it in.
Dave, you want to show them your magic of some of you guys I saw when you're reaching for those mag releases, and some of you got shorter thumbs. I recently had to dislocate it, pick up some, and I have to use my K lever. But what if you see guys reaching?
Yeah.
I stole this from Kelly McCann. And I think it's really good because most of you have probably seen, flipping it. That's fine in your competition, because if you drop your gun in your competition, what, you lost. You drop your gun in your gunfight, you die. What Kelly advocated, and I thought it was just a brilliant move, is that you're shooting the gun, boom, 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 slide lock's open. Your hand has to leave anyway to grab your magazine, right? So all he advocated was that as your hand left the pistol, you just curled your finger right here and turned it in your hand. And if it punched out on the way, no big deal. If not, you've got it up here, you punch it out and you put it in.
You're literally bringing the.
But that's all you're doing, is you're just turning the gun in your hand. And all it is as your hand's leaving to acquire your magazine, you just hook it right here. I'm willing to bet you he thought about that. What do you think? Right? So everybody
Let me know you're ready if you're up on target. Okay, out on target. Gonna get the command, you know what I'm gonna say. Once you do it, we're not looking for speed, we're looking for you to go through all those deliberate actions. Here we go. Ready? 1, reload, 1. Shoot!
Oh no, I fumbled. Fuck that.
Set it up again, set it up again, but listen up.
I know I dropped before.
Listen up, when you're dropping these magazines, we're gonna be bending over and picking things up to get set up. Make sure you look up and down the line before we do it.
recover to the holster before you bend over, pick up.
Right? Saw some guns moving in space. Get those arms stopped. Right? Like you said, doesn't have to be a particular spot. None of these elbows out here. Okay?
Okay, of the 14 people on the line, even though I just went through an agonizingly long explanation of how to do this, 10 of the 14 fucking ignored me.
I'm gonna do it my way.
And then you wondered why you jacked up your reload. Don't be a dipshit. Okay? All right, Bucky.
All right, slow it down, deliberate, right? You're gonna fire. Pull that gun in, right? Remember, don't give up a no until you get, right? Got it. Here we go. Up on target, let me know you're ready. Stand by. Ready. Shoot! You pull that in to go to do that. Be mindful. Those big hands, you're going to have to pull that gun.
I work around you guys. You don't work around me.
Or think about using
my thumb.
you're going to have to do that. Think about using that support. You absolutely can't get it turned to you, but don't get it so exaggerated you flag somebody.
Right.
Get yourself to that. That's so flat. I see that.
I can't.
Dude, you got to get a taller mag button.
Right.
That's a terrible idea.
I just talked to your son-in-law about it.
There you go. There you go. There you go. See that? You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Come on, guys, look up and down that line. No guns in your hands. No guns are out. Go ahead and pick them up. Set it up again. All right, guys, let's do it again. You're going to start out up on target. Okay? Remember, don't go so low where it looks like you're looking at the ground. Okay? You're barely pulling that gun back. Just bending at the elbow. That gun's not too far from where it started. Don't drop it down by the crotch where you're dropping your eyes, etc. Ready? Shoot! Think it through each of the deliberate steps and then back up for another round. Now, just like was said to the first group, a reload is part of doing business. Don't shoot that first round good and accurate. Ah, lose my mind, holy shit! Get that gun reloaded and shank that next one. Be accurate on both of them. Okay, here we go. Go ahead and make sure and put that gun in the condition you're supposed to. Get up on target. That lets me know you're ready to go. 1, reload, 1. You're only competing against yourself. Get the skill down. Ready? Shoot! Reminder, when you do that reload, watch my hand. Orient that gun, the base of that gun, towards where that mag's coming from. Don't try to have to straight from the bottom. Here we go, up on target. Let me know you're ready to go. 1, reload, 1. Ready? Shoot! Oh. Right, good point to bring up. Recover points, not picking on you, Sean. Listen up, guys, before we pick these up. Saw a couple, hey, when you insert that magazine, make sure it's fully inserted. Heel of the hand is going to make sure that it's all the way in. When that slide goes forward, if it doesn't pick up a round, that's an oh shit moment when you press that trigger. We just had that happen. No guns are out. Let's pick up our stuff. Ready?
Nicely done.
Damn it, Dan. That way it doesn't have to travel so far.
Check that line, make sure it's safe. No guns, pick it up, set it up. Are you having accuracy on both shots? If not, you're letting that reload get in your head. I get it. Screws me up too. Oh my God, I'm getting behind. Set it up, here we go, on target. Good action shot, instant action. Action shot, it's always action. Ready? Shoot!
I went through semi-automatic pistol instructor training 1983. Most all of it at the time was gun sight related, and gun sight was new. When I first went through the academy, it was a lot of point shooting type stuff. The FBI point shooting type. You got to remember that even though gun sight started in 1976, it really didn't start catching on until around 80. So I went through firearms instructor with pistol, like this. That's the way we're. And you had a condition 1 stoppage and a condition 2 stoppage, and if you had a stovepipe, you cleared it like this. If you had a failure to eject, you cleared it like that. And if you had my problem with it is that I had to look at the gun, I had to diagnose what I had before I could get the technique that I needed. Who wants to do that? And then I had a guy that was clearing a stovepipe. And he came up like this and he swiped it off like many of you were taught. And it had a sharp edge on it. He cut open his hand. Do you think having your hand covered in blood in a gunfight could be a potential problem? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sounds like
Also, have you ever had one of these ejected from the gun and go down your shirt or behind your glasses?
Yep.
What did you notice about it?
It's hot.
Tends to be warm.
Why did it hurt? So that happens and you go like this.
Burn your hand.
Oh, you won't notice in the duress of a gunfight. Who fucking says? I know I had enough experiences that when that happened, I didn't want to touch it. Because it isn't like you pick up that cold cartridge case and you put it in your gun and now we do it. Right? I didn't want to do that. Plus, I wanted to do away with this one for that stoppage, this one for that stoppage, that one for that stoppage. I wanted to clear everything I could with one manipulation. This is one of the areas where I part company with most of the firearms training arena. As I head off into the sunset, I can honestly say, don't give a fuck, because I think I'm right. Still think I'm right. Matter of fact, in the late 1990s, I did a rebuttal article in SWAT magazine against Clint Smith over this very thing. His was, grab a hold of that gun, work the slide the way it's designed. And my rebuttal was, if the gun was working the way it was designed, I wouldn't be jacking it off. So, this is kind of a side pipe. There's stovepipes. There's inline ejection failures where they're stuck on here. And one of the things you will see with red dot sights where the cartridge comes out, hits the wind and goes back in, you'll see them in line backwards. So there's a number of failures to eject, and they're not all stovepipes. As a matter of fact, the stovepipe only seems to happen with 1911 pistols. A lot of the European guns, they're different. They go sideways and all kinds of different stuff. So if it's not going out the top, now I've got to come down the side. You see my dilemma? So what do I do? Why don't you move this way? Because I'm going to point the gun in that direction. And even though it's not going to hurt you, it's poor form. I'm thinking about, what do I need to do? Well, I probably should tap the bottom of the magazine because magazines can drop out. I saw on an internet one of the new younger generation of instructors that said, you know, you don't have to pop the bottom of the magazine. The magazine came dislodged, you'd know it. No. I've seen that happen all the time where it just pops out a little bit. And let's face it, what's that take? It's not like I'm asking you to ride your bicycle around the block. All I'm doing is asking you to tap it. Boom. So now I've got to get that out. Whatever it is, I've got to get that out. You ever seen gravity? Watch, I'll demonstrate it for you. So I just do this. That'll clear everything but a double feed. Just
Also solves the dead trigger.
all I'm doing is this. Just turn it upside down, pulling it back, falls out. Where it will go sideways on you is if you masturbate your gun. You're not giving it time to fall out. Tap it, roll over rack, back up. Now, from when I first learned semi-automatic pistols, I never understood grabbing it like this. And that was before we had these bumpy things on them. But Buck, you've got a red dot gun. Somebody doesn't have a red dot gun. Here you go, Admiral. Let me have your gun. I've got small hands. Come here, Carrie. My hands aren't much bigger than Carrie's. Okay? What did I say about the index finger and the thumb?
A lot of power there.
Could work together.
This is a long slide, and I still don't have those fingers. They're hanging off the back. You tell me, when you want to get a solid grip on something in your life, that you grab it like this. Let me ask you a question. You're standing here like this and there's a conveyor belt. On that conveyor belt is a $1,000 bill. You're going to have one chance as it goes by. Are you going to do this?
I'm jumping on the conveyor belt.
Well, then why, when your life is in jeopardy, do you grab a hold of it like this? Anybody ever been at a picnic and played tug of war? Did you grab a hold of the rope like this?
Only if you want to get hit in the face.
So why do we grab the pistol slide like this? I know why, but I want to know if you know why.
I don't want to hurt myself.
Well, that was actually how the paperwork was written for the Glock, and it became a thing across the industry. The manual of arms.
Long before that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
You're not covering the ejection port.
We're going back again to Cooper stuff, but even before gunsight.
Okay.
The semi-automatic pistols of old weren't like this. We have got this figured out. When I talk about the semi-automatic pistol in general, the springs, the manufacturing, all that stuff is figured out. They weren't that reliable. These things will fire underwater. They'll shoot upside down. If you have a gun that won't do that, sell it to somebody you don't like. Because that's how good they are now. The reason we were taught that is because you didn't want the gun anywhere but upright. So you grabbed it like this to manipulate it. Because you didn't want to turn it. It decreased the reliability of the pistol. Think about that, and you thought you relied your life on it. Kind of scary thought, isn't it? But that's the reason we did it. Because everything was done to keep the gun upright in a shooting conviction, so you grab a hold of it like this. Never made sense to me. Ever. I can't remember the last time. My problem was I have a degree in sports physiology, so I have an understanding of human physiology and how it works, and I can never remember anybody grabbing a baseball bat like this. Or a hockey stick. Anything. I never saw a wide receiver catch the ball.
You don't watch the Bears, do you?
These fingers were always involved. And the fingers closest to the thumb on the way down were the best fingers. These were the worst. But they're doing most of the work. And now, hold Amber's gun for me. Oh yeah. Give me just a sec. And now we have these bumpy things on them, which makes our grip now even worse. Not only is it pulling the palm of our hand away from the top of the slide, now we're at our fingertips. And we're not even getting the heel of our hand on it anymore.
CZ.
But it's the way we've always done it, Dave. Thank you. No, the other gun. Everybody familiar with this? This is the LCP2.
Max.
I was working at Ruger as a consultant when the first LCP came out. At that SHOT Show, they were expecting to take orders for about 20,000. They took orders for 250,000. Remember when they were in short supply? I was doing a television show at the time called Ruger Inside and Out. It's no longer on anymore because we ran out of ideas. But I was doing a segment on the LCP, and the other person on the show with me was Ed Head from Gunsight. Ed is a wonderful man. Excellent instructor, got nothing but great respect for him. We just disagreed here. We were talking about how you cleared the stoppage in the LCP. Ed, who was very Gunsight, and you did everything like this, realized that there was nothing to grab a hold of. When it's down here like this, you can't hardly grab a hold. There's no slide. So Ed's thing was you had two.
That's a way to.
Why not? They're small enough.
It's also good for the gun company.
My solution.
Why reload it when you can regun?
That you just teacupped it, tapped it, rolled it over, grabbed it with your fingers, and did that.
New York City reload.
Because yeah, I may be only grabbing it with my index finger and my thumb, but I have as much contact with the slide as possible. And if you're going to pull back on something like this, would you rather it with these fingers or here? Thank you. I call it inboard manipulation. Because basically what I'm doing is I'm just letting the gun go, I'm turning it inboard, I'm pulling it back, letting it go, uprighting, re-putting my hand in, and it's done. It's that simple. And it... Did you bring him?
It's Mike A.
Yes, sir.
Do you prefer to pull it in to do this?
I break at the elbows because it just gives me a little stability. Thanks. Especially if I'm moving, I can kind of hold a little bit steady. But I basically tap it, I roll it in, rack it, and I go like that. Boom, done.
Dave always talks about if you hand a gun to somebody who's never done that before.
In the gun shop, you'll see them putting it at the ground, they'll grab a hold like this, they'll pull the slide back. And then the ill-informed will say, oh, no, you grab a pistol slide like this. But it's not natural. We have to teach that dumb shit to you. You're amusing. You make me smile, you know that? Okay. So anyway, now that we've got these, and let's face it, they're not going away. They're not going away. These are going to get more and more and more. This isn't a fad. I think we all realize that, don't we? That isn't a fad. I can't tell you if they're duty ready or ready for prime time, but they're not going away anywhere. They're getting better and better, and they're getting smaller, and they're getting very useful. But as you can see, it makes it even more difficult to put our hand on it. No problem. I can turn it like this. I can still grab a hold of it. What I don't want to do is this. Why? All I have to do is move my knuckle here. What did I block? You'll see people grab it here or they'll grab it here. You're potentially blocking the ejection port. Not good, right? So, what are we talking about? Gun goes click, you tap it, you roll it over, you go rack, upright it, fire. That's it, that's all it takes. What I don't understand, but move this way. And again, take it in light of the little lecture I gave you earlier, where I screamed at you and said you're in the middle of a gunfight, what do you do this stupid shit? Does this make sense?
Superfluity of motion.
What the fuck do I gotta come all the way back here for? Oh, I want to roll it over so I can make use of this little ejection port cut right here. My way, I make use of the whole fucking ejection port. Do you want the little cut, or you want the whole frickin' thing? Plus, look at the time involved. Click, tap, roll it, rack it, reestablish the grip. Tap, rack it, reestablish the grip. Turn it over like this, pulling it back. Clears everything. Why? I'll demonstrate it. But you got to pull it back. You got to pull it back and let it bottom out. Let the stuff fall out.
On target, this is when it's going to happen.
All right, get on target.
Brad, don't forget, we're going to use gravity upside down.
Yep, gotcha.
Up.
Oh shit, get that trigger.
Put the guns in the holster for me so I can go forward of the line. That way you guys don't have to turn around. He told me, I've done it a couple times now, I keep getting double feeds. Think about how your gun works. How do you think that happened? Too fast. He pulled it back, was trying to go in, and he let it go forward. If you pull it back, let it stop, let it deaden out, then let it go, you got to give it time to fall out. When I had him do that, it worked like a charm. But he's probably trying to do this. Gravity takes a small amount of time to take effect, doesn't it?
How does gravity work again?
Oh, that's right.
That's a hell of a difference.
That's how it's going to end up being gravity.
Okay, so what we're gonna do on this is when you're gonna present to target, we're gonna shoot 2 rounds on the chest cavity. You're gonna start from being on target. And then you're gonna pull the trigger and you're gonna go click and nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna go, oh shit, and then you're gonna tap, and then rack, and then get back on target. Remember, you're pouring it out like a cup of coffee. You're doing that inboard manipulation, that continuity of motion, okay?
Use gravity, guys.
All right, go ahead and present to target. Up. Okay, drop your magazine.
Are we firing 1 or 2?
2 rounds.
Sorry.
Drop your
Grab
magazine.
it with as much hand as you can.
Don't forget to clear the live round in the chamber before setting up the malfunction.
I tend to get this because my big old sausage thumbs on the shelf will actually touch the front serrations and retard the cycle. So I actually will get that from time to time.
Have you thought about shooting with the other hand? No.
Nice. Knew that was coming. It's got to happen at least once, one per class.
Question for
That's because you're wrong-handed, Abner.
I forgot to pack.
All right, go ahead and get on target. Up.
Remember the thing.
Up.
Point the muzzle down. Drop it in. Now don't turn it because what's it going to do?
Gravity.
It's going to fall out. Keep it pointed down. Insert the magazine. There it is. Safely set up. Okay? Now, how do we clear it? You may want to move there, Abner. I want to correlate this to something you do anyway. As a regular course of your existence, you don't even have to give it any thought. So follow along with me as I do this. Okay, Carrie, I'm going to make you my foil, okay? I'm going to ask you some questions, you just answer it to me, okay? You've just come home from work or whatever, you've got your gun. For whatever reason, you've decided to unload it. Maybe you've got kids coming over, you need it extra safe. What's the first thing you do?
We'll take it out of my holster.
Yeah, you're getting ready to put it away.
Take it out of my holster. Oh, unload it. So eject the magazine.
Then what do?
Rack the slide or lock it to the rear.
Okay, so the next day you decide you need to go back out. You need to get it ready again. What do?
Put a new magazine in, and then rack the slide.
You just clear a double feed.
Yay, good job, Carrie. Good job.
Is that how everybody clears their gun out when they go to put it away?
Pretty much.
The same process is how you clear a double feed. The only thing that would stop you from using that technique is if there's nothing to grab a hold of it out. Understand, all you're fighting here is opposing spring pressure. Okay? Let me clear this back out again. Ugh.
It gets further every year, doesn't it?
I hate bending over.
Yeah.
My wife says stoop down, that's worse.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Here, anyway, so, yeah, that's all you got to do is you basically unload the gun and reload the gun. Again, what we've got is we've got opposing spring pressure. You've got a slightly compressed recoil spring, a slightly compressed magazine spring. So all you're having to do is relieve spring tension on one of the two springs. Well, for years, we went for the one that required the most dexterity. We tried to take the tension off the recoil spring, right? Because what did we tell you to do? We told you to push your thumb up on the slide stop, grab a hold of the slide, lock it open. Remember that?
Yeah.
These were the same people that told you you would not have the digital dexterity to use this to drop the slide.
And they got that from gun magazines.
Remember that? You couldn't do that, but you could clearly, in the middle of a fucking gunfight with bullets are flying past your head, push up on that and lock it open. Really, dude? The first time I heard that, I was a nobody. I didn't say a word, but I'm like, what? This guy does not know how the human hand works. Anyway. So no, we were going at it the wrong way. What's easier to do? Push up on that slide, stop, lock that slide open, or keep the gun in a firing posture, hit the mag, well, shit, it's not locked up. Hold on. There we go. Hit the mag button and strip it out. It's not held in there that tightly. If you think you got to grab a hold of it and really rip it out, the spring isn't that strong. All you got to do is strip it out. As a matter of fact, I can maintain it. Which is another reason I like inboard manipulation, because all I got to do is just take that and push that down. I can turn it over. Now right here, this is one of my more funny stories. I had a guy who was probably about 25, 26, and he was into all the wild YouTube shit, all the flashy stuff. I don't want to bash on Chris Costa, because I got nothing against Chris Costa, but this guy was a Chris Costa video fanatic. Everything was, you know what I mean? He says, okay, what do you do now? What do you do now? Ha ha ha, what are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do? His fucking mouth just fell off. Yeah, so if you do only carry one magazine, and be honest with yourself, that may be something you want to work. If it's the magazine's fault, what's going to happen as soon as you shoot it again?
So you'll find out.
You'll have a one-round gun, but I'll take it. Better than a no-round gun. But all you do is unload it and reload it. I've been looking at everybody's pistols, and everybody, you may have a problem because of the mag funnel. If you've got a mag funnel or you've got a Beretta 92,
yeah, take it off,
which has nothing to grab a hold of,
yep,
you're back to the old style of locking the slide open first and then having to push the magazine out or ejecting it. I've had guys that have locked it open and they've hit the mag button and still won't. They literally have to push the mag button and push it out from the top, which is no fun. Remember what I said? If you can't do this moving, then what good is it to you? Locking the slide open, doing all that's real tough to do when you can't move. If you can't do it moving, it's useless. Does that make sense? If you've got to do something with all of that manipulation, why would you want to stand still? Look how far it took me to get it done. How much time did that take? And even then, let's be honest, I wasn't that hard of a target. Better than nothing. Better than nothing. So basically, the reason I had Carrie do it that way is so you have an explanation in your head. You're standing up here. Okay, now, what did he say again? Oh, yeah. I came home from work, I pulled the magazine out, I cleared the chamber, and then I reloaded the gun. That's it. You gotta have something to grab a hold of.
Jump on target, here we go. Ready? Shoot, check that trigger. Oh shit, tap rack, check that trigger. Damn it, unload, reload.
All right, yeah, so drop the mag.
On target, shoot! Try that trigger. Oh shit, tap rack, didn't work. Oh shit, try the trigger again. Unload, reload. Don't get in a hurry to where your brain gets fried. Be deliberate on each one of these processes. Here we go. Shoot! Uh-oh, uh-oh. Try it again. Strip, strip, reload. Unload, reload. Here we go, on target, on target, on target. Ready?
Just get set up, you can get the next one.
Shoot!
I'm watching you, you got the camera on you, you missed your shot.
Oh, shit, I did.
That's what I was laughing about. Not your manipulation. You did the manipulation beautifully. But then after all that wonderfulness, you throw your round
Take a
down.
shot.
All right, good job.
Damn it!
Perfect. Fucking perfect.
Wait, say it quick. 'Cause I'm hot, man. I'm hot, babe. I'm hot.
It's hot. It's hot here.
Kill, you good? Brad, you good? Go ahead and get that gun out. You're going to start on target. Here we go, on target, on target. Shoot!
Whee! Are you having difficulty getting it out past that funnel there, Ben?
Oh yeah, it's impossible. I got a lock
All
slide
right,
back.
guys. Trigger's only going to be bad once. Here we go. Ready? Shoot!
That was like a monkey fucking a football.
And everybody understands I got ahead of myself about pressing the trigger twice. You don't have to do that. But you already know you're set up that way. If you see that, somebody asked me on the other relay, if I see that I got that, I'm just going to rip that magazine and work the action. That's what I'm going to do. But for the standard, we want you to test that trick, right? All right, here we go. Up on target. You can if you only have one magazine, but most everybody, in case it was the magazine, are getting rid of it. Here we go, on target, on target, on target. Ready? Shoot!
Be surprised that you will improve. Never seen anybody do it and get worse. Unless they've just lost focus. What we're going to do is we'll go down. If you're a 3x5 card shot up, don't worry about it. We don't care about that. If there's holes around it, we're going to have you tape them because we only want to focus on hits, right? Hear what I'm saying, and I mean this with all sincerity. I want you to go as fast as you personally are capable. I don't care about the guy next to me. I want you to go as fast as you are personally capable, but don't go any faster than you can hit. Does that make sense? Are you going to test your limits and see how fast you can go? Are you going to miss it occasionally? If I never see you miss, the first thing I'm going to say is, think you could go a little faster? Because what tells you you've hit your limit?
You start missing.
You start to miss. And I don't mean an occasional miss. That can happen for a lot of things. But if you just start blowing rounds, okay, maybe you need to reel it back a little bit. Then you reel it back a little bit, and if you start nailing it, that may be today's threshold. And you've probably all experienced those days when you have a really great threshold, and the next day when that threshold just blows. Right? Yeah. I understand, I get it. So that's where we're going to go next. 4 rounds, 3x5 card. We'll do this at 5 yards. At 5 yards. That seems to be a reasonable distance keeping things on. Okay? At some point, it's just going to stop, right?
I don't know.
It just won't
Go to the cloud.
So what I'm going to do is I'll come up here.
Be blank.
When I do this, I'll start from a ready position, just because I'll look at it, and I may just do a couple out here like this, just to kind of get used to it. You do that before we start the drill. And then what I'll do is I may just start out kind of slow, working the reset. So it may be no faster than this. Okay, and I missed one. What's that tell me? I came off the trigger, I felt it. I was boom, 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 and then I did one of those. Fuck. Now, I did that on purpose for demonstrative purposes.
That was awesome. That was awesome. The mastery.
I've yet to anybody believe that. Okay? So then I come up here and I may go a little faster. Trying to keep it consistent, but working the reset, working the reset. My central focus here is tight grip, working the recoil, recoil in conjunction with the reset. Okay? So I'm feeling pretty good. Go a little faster, right? No big deal. But every time I fire the shot, I see the dot. Every time you fire the shot, you should see the sight. Right? Dot, front sight, doesn't matter. Okay? Now, you'll notice that I know I don't have 5 rounds left. So I replace the round. I could have run out of ammo, did a reload, and then tell you guys I wanted to test my reload. But that would be bullshit. Okay? So now, I'm having a pretty good run. I missed one, no big deal. Let's push it a little bit. Okay? Missed the first one. No big deal. It's right off to the side. If it was way the fuck over here, then I'd worry, right? So let's go a little faster. Okay? Missed another one. Missed another one, but that's all right. Every time I miss, I know. The way I feel about it is if I know I missed and I know why I missed, I learned something. But every time I did that, I missed a round, didn't I? So what's that tell me I need to do? Probably need to bring it back a little bit. So, nice and easy, took it, boom, 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 boom. But what I did is every time the sight was on target, the trigger was reset. Pushed my limits, had to bring it back. You got to kind of discover that about yourself. Now I realize in this day and age of ammunition, this is an expensive drill. But you know what, in all honesty, the only thing in combative pistol craft that requires live fire is this. Because there's no way to simulate that in dry fire, is there? Nothing else works the slide, creates recoil, does the reset. You got to fire those rounds off. Do you need a live fire to do an ammo or a magazine exchange? You need a live fire to do a stoppage clearance? You need a live fire to practice your draw? No, you don't need to live fire any of that kind of stuff. But in order to work that trigger and get good at it, you got to fire bullets. So if you've only got 50 rounds, maybe 20 rounds of the dot drill, maybe 25 rounds of something like this, things that are necessary, things that actually require live fire. If you dry fire a couple times a week and then you get your 50 rounds once a month, you can still stay pretty ready. You can still stay pretty ready. But that's what we're going to do, and there's no right or wrong on this. What we want you to do is start out at a pace you know you can hit, and then push it a little bit. Push it a little bit. If you miss one, no big deal, unless it's way over here. Well, that's another problem. But if you're around the card, on this drill right here, the only one that bothers me is this one. What happened here? I fired too fast. I'm still in recoil, wasn't I? These around here, that's no big deal. I don't worry about that. If I'm way away, that bothers me. Everybody knows what this one is, don't you? Yeah, that's good. But what I like about that is every one of those that I missed, I felt it and I knew why. If that is the case, is a miss an educational opportunity?
Yes.
Make sense to everybody? Okay, good deal. The person that never misses either never shoots or never pushes themselves. So we clear on the drill. We're going to give you a command. You're going to fire 4 rounds. Start out nice and easy, build up as you go. But again, what we want to see is something like a sewing machine. You know, a precision. Boom, 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 boom. We don't want to hear the monkey on a typewriter. Boom, 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 boom. That's not what we want. Hup! Did you miss? Do you know why? If you don't know why don't you know why? Focus on what your fingers are doing. Here we go again, ready. Roy, that's 2 ready. There you go. Oh, look at him trying to game it. Just lowering it just enough instead of presenting the pistol. You pussy, bring that gun back. Here we go, ready. Hut!
If you want to hold them down for you. I'll hold Dave down for you.
That's okay, I like them.
All right, here we go again, ready. Hup! Okay, now, if you're going something like this, pow, 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 you're a pussy. Push it. Come on, as soon as the dot or the sight lines up, press the trigger. Unless you're pinning the trigger, which would make you
A dumbass?
a dipshit.
Dipshit. Copy.
Here we go, ready. Hup! All right, here we go. Watch your target. Hup! 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 Understand something about any firearms training class you go to. Unless you go to some extensive program where you're there for 6 months. I don't care if it's 2 days, 3 days, I don't care if it's 5 days. You will never get enough repetitions of any particular skill to master and anchor it. Ain't gonna happen. All you're gonna get is an introduction to it. And then enough repetitions that we hope you understand it well enough that if you choose to go back where you come from and incorporate that into your skill sets, you can do so. towards that end, when you're here in the rest of this class and you revert back to your old ways, we'll correct you. But when you go back to wherever you come from and you decide to go back to your fucked up ways before you came here, that is certainly your choice to make, okay? But we think this is how that should be done. So at this point, it makes sense to move into tactics, okay? Because everything you do is a technique, right? So we're going to move into tactics, things you can do to enhance your ability to win, which is what we want to do in a gunfight. We want to prevail. We're going to talk more about that type of stuff tonight when we come back. So the way I was explaining it to you guys, yeah, a lot of people say use of cover is the ultimate tactic. But how do you do that if when the fight breaks out, you don't already know where it is? Like it's right there and you can go to it. You're not going to stop in the middle of your pistol fight and look around for cover. And remember, this isn't the same as a rifle fight that happens at 200 or 300 yards. You know, pistol fight can happen 2 to 3 yards. And the average, and I agree with Tom Givens and his review of his people. I have had about 100 people get back to me who have been in gunfights and report back. The majority of them are law enforcement officers. And that's one of the first things I realize is the dynamics of a law enforcement confrontation are a little bit different from an armed citizen. And the reason for that is the law enforcement officer is duty bound to take someone into custody. That's why many of their fights happen here. Because at the time that they're attacked or their fight starts, they're taking someone into custody. And in order to do that, what do you have to do? Hands on. You have to lay hands on. That's not so for the armed citizen. Armed citizens usually take place at a conversational distance like this. But needless to say, the domestic pistol fight, the things that happen in the United States, are relatively close. I think Tom, his thing is 5 to 6 yards. Even with the mixture of law enforcement people in it, I would say 6 to 7 yards. So real close. Ken Hackathorn in his research of it says everything's inside 10. Because those active shooter things, those long down the hallway, they're relatively rare. Most of these situations are a fight that starts, a domestic robbery that goes sideways. They're conversational distance kind of things. So they're going to be close up. And in a situation like that where it's so close and so furious, when will you have the time to take cover? Good chance you won't. But unless you're in a close confines, like I can remember sometimes in law enforcement being in mobile homes. What is with mobile homes and domestics?
Bush beer.
If I lived
You're
there,
in a
I would
mobile
probably
home,
whoop somebody
the
too.
big fat wife is screaming at the guy, the little skinny guy, he's drunk, you know.
Sleeveless
And
t-shirt,
you're-
white sleeveless
you're-
t-shirt.
And there's some kids over here, and there's a sofa and a coffee table and a console fucking TV from the 1960s.
Dog on a chain.
And this is how much room you got, okay? But if you are in a parking lot, driveway, something like that, you will probably have some ability to move. So to me, movement is important. I think movement may be the ultimate tactic, even if it's just movement to cover. Remember what I said? The movement with purpose. You move until you have the ability to shoot accurately back. You move to a position of cover or concealment, someplace that bullets can't hit you or you can't be seen, or you move to exit the kill zone. Any of those work, okay? But you're gonna move. So I think movement is where you begin. Cover is someplace you end up. And again, how much training does it take to stand behind something? None. Coming out around it, that's a little bit different, and we will deal with that. We deal with that. But I don't need to teach you how to get behind something. Okay? All you've got to do is just have your fucking wife yell at you and you get behind something. Or your husband. Okay, yeah. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with the most basic of movement. That makes the most sense. Pivots and turns. What's a pivot? It's a long turn. Okay? Let's go on down the range. Your ears are on opposite side of your head for a survival reason. Way back in the days when men were trying to, stay away from animals and would eat them and stuff like that. You don't have eyes in the back of your head, but you have ears that are on each side. So, if I'm pointing in this direction and something catches my vision or I hear something, I want you to watch how I'm going to do this because it's fairly complex. And I want you to go along with me. I'll try to do it in slow motion, okay? So if something like that happens, this is what you'll probably do. Ready? Did I go too fast? I'll do it in slow motion. Okay, now, if it happens in this direction, I'm facing this way, it'll look something like this. I will do it in slow motion. Any questions? Now, making a little bit of fun, I get that. But I see so many people, and I saw this at Gunsight when we did pivots and turns, is people will just turn because it's a range drill. We don't want it to be a range drill. People will be standing there and they'll say, okay, and they'll just go and start shooting. How did I identify it as a threat? You can't unless you look at it, right? You turn, draw, and shoot some kid off a tricycle. That would not be good. And I'm pretty sure that you would be in the penitentiary fairly quick. Fairly quick. Because you didn't do the first thing you have to do in a fight. Identify the threat. How do you fight something that you have not yet located? Right? So, something catches my attention, I hear something, I do this. Or if it's rapid, it may be like that. Or if it startles me, it may be like this. I don't know why people do this. I've never done that in my life when I'm startled. I kind of hunch my shoulders a little bit. Yeah, I've kind of done that, kind of bury my head, but I've never gone. Okay, editorializing's done. Okay, so even if something startles me, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at it. So far, so good? Everybody agree? Sorry. Okay, now, I have been to some programs, and I'm not trying to slap those programs down. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm just explaining to you why I differ from it. And we've had situations where, you've identified the threat and you'll do things like you'll step forward, you'll pivot on your feet, do things like that. Why?
It looks cool.
You've been turning your whole flipping life. Biomechanically, human physiology-wise, look at what happens here. Okay? And I turn. My head just doesn't turn like the girl in The Exorcist. I turn like this. My upper torso is also turning, isn't it? There's almost like a corkscrew effect that's going on, right? My upper torso is turning like this, so I look at it. Nobody goes. You turn. Well, as you can see, it's already underway. The turn is already underway. So basically what I've got to do is when I do that, just finish it. Now watch, this is pretty technical. Did I do that too fast? Okay, I'll do it in slow motion.
I know.
Now, I'll usually get the question, why do I step forward instead of stepping back?
You don't know what's behind you.
I don't know what's here, but I got a pretty good idea of what's there. The only reason I would step back is if there was something here that would inhibit that. But, what would that be? Because I'm only just coming around like this. I mean, even if there was like a concrete planter or something there, I could still come around, but I don't know what's there. It'd be my luck, it'd be a dog turd and I'd slip and fall on it.
But you get out of the way of the incoming round.
Yeah. So, what we're going to do, and I'm not going to draw on you. I'm going to simulate a draw, so don't get excited and fall down to the ground and shit like that. We're going to turn and look first. Just let your torso naturally twist. Right here. Can I go ahead and set the draw up while I'm doing this? Of course I could. But I don't draw until I'm ready until I'm planted stable and I do like this. You're not going to lose any time. Okay? If I try to do this and I try to draw and come up like that, you're not going to get any faster, and you don't know where the gun's going to present, because remember, in this class we don't fling the gun out there, we place it on target.
All right, make sure you're identifying the threat first. Up!
You got to look first. Oh man.
Up!
That brings a tear to my eye. Is that a Milt Spark Summer Special?
Well, let's get a shot of that.
He just went up like 10 points in my estimation.
Every time I go fiddle fuck with other holsters, I always gravitate back towards that.
First time we're going to turn this way, okay?
Right, left.
Right.
Correct.
All right.
We'll be watching when those guns are coming out.
Identify the threat first.
Ah! Sorry about that. I crowded you a little bit when I stepped out. I kind of pushed over a little bit.
New Yorkers, give an inch, get a mile.
One of those unit of measures of things.
Right.
So you certify your weapon.
Not metric. That's all I
Same
can say.
side, turn to the right. Up! Alright, Todd, why are you leaning in? Why are you leaning in? Come around and
When I look and turn, I'm going this way.
Oh, man, that's loud.
I'm going to find where he is. I'm stepping in the direction.
Try that. I will definitely try that.
Well, I'm gonna video this one.
Up!
There you go, Todd. Holy shit.
Be back in the club classroom at 7 p.m. Going to do a little bit of a mindset lecture. It's really kind of a pep talk. There's no firearms involved. Feel free to come back in your lounging shorts and your flip-flops and whatever, your jammies with your feet in them, I don't care, whatever. No alcohol, but if you want to bring snacks, you want to bring drinks, soda, whatever, no problem. You're just going to be sitting there listening. Okay? I'm going to give you my thoughts on state of mind. That'll go for about an hour and a half, and then we'll break. We'll be back here on the range at 9 a.m.